Hello everyone. As part of this course, Women's Writing, the next text that we are discussing is the Greek tragic play Medea. It was written by Euripides. In today's class, we will try to discuss the setting, the background, the characters, and the plot of this particular play. Let me introduce myself. I am Arun Kumar CS from the Department of English, Government College, Mananthavadi. About the playwright Euripides, he lived from 485 to 406 BCE. He was one of the prominent Greek poets and playwrights, and he was part of the triumvirate, the most important three, the major three of great Greek tragedians, the other two being Sophocles and Aeschylus. He has produced 90 plays to his credit, and 19 of them still survives. Some important among them are Medea, Hippolytus, the Trojan women, etc. One of the characteristic features of the tragedies of Euripides is that most of them present very strong and complex women characters, and other Greek writers, other Greek tragedians and other Greek writers, especially writers such as Aristophanes, they have mentioned that Euripides made this tragic form democratic by allowing women and slaves to speak, to articulate themselves. About the background, let's get to this play. About the background of this play, it was first performed in March 431 BCE at the great festival at the city of Dionysus in Athens, and it was awarded the third prize. The play basically narrates the story of Medea, and let's get this very clear from the beginning itself. The character Medea was a princess of a particular country called Colchis, and Jason, he was the son of Aeson, and he was the king of Iolcos. It was a different country, and Aeson, he gets overthrown by his brother Peleus. So the central characters of this play are Medea and her husband Jason, and Jason's father is Aeson, and they belong to this kingdom of Iolcos. Now, Aeson's brother Peleus overthrows the father and the son from power. So the deal is that if Jason brought the golden fleece from Colchis, the kingdom of Medea. So if Jason brought the golden fleece from Colchis, he would be restored. The power would be given back to the father and the son. Now, what is this golden fleece? Golden fleece is some kind of a robe, some kind of an attire, some kind of a dress that is made of gold, and that is considered to be it was considered to be a marker of power and authority. So that was a deal. So in order to get the golden fleece is one of the most secured, and it was highly protected by different kinds of dragons and monsters. Now Jason goes to Colchis in order to get this golden fleece with a group of people, and they sail on a vessel known as the Argo, and a group of people called Argonauts. So they reach Colchis, and in Colchis Jason meets Medea and they fall in love with each other, and Jason gets her help in order to steal the golden fleece. Medea helps Jason to a large extent. Medea is gifted with so much of supernatural powers such as black magic and things like that. So Medea uses all her power in order to get this golden fleece for Jason, and at the end of it, Medea even kills her own brother to prevent her father from following her after their elopement. So at the end of everything, after Jason steals this golden fleece, they elope to Athens. They elope to Greece. Now Medea had to prevent her father from following her. So in order to kind of prevent her father, she kills her own brother. Now when they return to Iolcos, Peleus, Jason's father's brother, Peleus refused to keep his word. He was not ready to give back the kingdom. So there Medea intervenes, and she tricks Peleus' daughters. Peleus had 3 daughters. Now Medea tricks them, and she tricks them into believing that if they killed their own father, and if they put those body parts in a cauldron, in a large vessel, and add certain kinds of medicines and things like that, he will be restored to his youth. So the daughters believe Medea, and the daughters believe Medea, and they killed Peleus and chopped him off and boiled his limbs, and all they got was a dead father. Now they feel cheated, and Peleus is dead. Now what happens is, Jason and Medea, they do not get the power back. Instead, they had to flee. They had to flee to another country, a third country called Corinth. Now when the play begins, they are in Corinth and they are in exile. They are fleeing from the daughters of Peleus. So they are in exile and they live there. Now the news arrive that Jason has just married the princess of Corinth, and naturally Medea feels angry and dejected, and she feels abandoned, and also at the same time she feels vengeful against Jason for breaking the marriage oath, because what Medea feels is that her anger is doubled when she thinks that she left her father, she left her country, and she even killed her own brother in order to elope with Jason, only because she loved him, and now he has betrayed her. Now she feels extremely vengeful and angry towards Jason. This is the moment when the play opens. This is the background knowledge that we must have about the happenings of the play. Now the summary. The play begins with a prologue. Now the prologue, Medea's old nanny from Colchis gives the prologue, and the play opens in Medea's house in Corinth. As I have already said, Medea and Jason, they are living as refugees, or they are living as an exile in Corinth. So they have a house, and the play opens at this particular house, and the nanny starts speaking. So she speaks about various incidents that have already happened. Like I said, the background information such as the Medea's life in Colchis, her father, her brother, and Jason's father, and Peleus, and this overthrowing of the kingdom, and Jason's trip to Colchis, the stealing of golden fleece, these things, and finally Jason's betrayal of Medea. Up to these events, the nanny narrates these events when the play opens. So this is what is taken as the prologue of the play. And also she says that she wished it didn't happen. She wished that Jason never, she says, and she would not have convinced the daughters of Peleus to kill their father, and would not have come to live here on Corinthian soil with her husband and children, winning over the citizens of the country she had come to as a refugee. things like that. So Nani basically wishes. So the narration of Nani has two purposes. One, it is to inform the audience about the background information that one must have in order to understand the play. Secondly, she takes a particular stance saying that these events, various events that have already happened, they are moving towards an unavoidable tragedy. So she wishes that these things did not happen. Now Medea is heartbroken now for leaving her father, country, and for killing her brother. For whom? For a disloyal person like Jason. So she she will, and Nani says that she will avenge Jason and all those who cause her suffering and grief. That include the king of Corinth, that is Jason's new wife's father, and the new wife. So king of Corinth, who his name is Creon, and his daughter, and Jason. These three people Medea is going to take revenge on. And also there is another character who appears in the prologue, that is Pedagogue. Pedagogue is a child minder, or somebody like a teacher to the children of Medea and Jason. They have two children, two boys. So they have a teacher, he is a slave. So Pedagogue, he comes and informs that Creon, the king of Corinth, where these people live in exile right now, he plans to banish Medea and the children from Corinth, while Jason keeps aloof. So Pedagogue informs that Creon is planning to banish, he is planning to kind of throw Medea and children out of their country. And what is Jason doing? Jason is disinterested in his own family. He has no interest in Medea and his two children, and he is keeping a distance. He is standing aloof. Now, and in Prologue, Medea makes her first appearance, and she says, her first conversation is like this: I am in agony. I am so brutally misused. You horrible children, she curses the children. You horrible children of a mother who hates you. God damn with your father, and the whole house go to hell. So this is how the play begins, with the first appearance of Medea. So I assume that you have understood the background information and as well as the prologue of the play. Now we'll move to the first episode, episode number 1. So this episode is very much similar to the act in Shakespearean or Elizabethan plays that we are familiar with. So this is episode number 1. In episode number 1, what happens is Medea, she makes deep contemplations. She makes deep thoughts of the plight of women in marital life. To the chorus. So there is a chorus in the play. This chorus consists of women of Corinth. Now she says, in the beginning, Medea says, I am quoting from the play, I am cast adrift. I have lost all pleasure in living, and I want to die. My friends, these friends are the women of Corinth, which together form the chorus. The man who was everything to me, try to understand this, has turned out to be the vilest man alive, my own husband. So Medea is narrating her the kind of depth that she feels about her personal tragedy, and also she is expanding it to a generalized truth as well, because in the following part of that particular deep and very long contemplation, she says, and when she says about this ritual of marriage, the ritual by which a woman who is familiar with her own house, her own house's customs and habits, she is forced to follow the ways of living of another household, the household of her husband. And when she comes into new customs and rules, a woman must be a prophet of what she could never learn at home how best to deal with her marriage partner. And if we get it worked out well, and a husband shares our life with us, and he bears the yoke without violence, life is to be envied. Otherwise, we are better off dead. So, basically, Medea makes the point that marital life is very much similar to a gambling. There is as much possibility of losing as for winning. Now, if you are very lucky, your life would be better and you are to be envied. But otherwise, if your life is not good in a marital life, it's better that you are dead rather than being alive. So listening to all this, chorus agree with Medea that she should take revenge. She should, she should make her, vengeance upon Jason and the princess of Corinth, and also the Creon, the king of Corinth, for abandoning Medea, for casting her adrift, and leaving her all alone with the two children. Then Creon Creon appears, and he orders Medea and her children to leave his country at once, now itself. The reason is, he says, he is afraid of her. So Creon says, I am afraid of you. I am quoting from the play. I am afraid of you. No need to cover up my reasons, in case you do some irreparable harm to my daughter. So Creon is very much afraid that Medea can do some harm to his own daughter and her husband Jason. Now, in order to protect them, Creon says Medea and her children must leave this country at once, now itself. Now, Medea begs for many things. Medea begs initially saying that, I will not harm your daughter and I will not harm my husband. But Creon is not ready to accept it. So finally, it comes down to a point where Medea says, she begs for one more day, and Creon allows it. Then Creon says, I warn you, if the coming light of the sun finds you and your children inside the borders of this country, you will die. So he basically says that if the next morning rays of the sun will find you, so basically, if you stay within the borders of my country, by tomorrow morning you will die. And Medea accepts this particular agreement with Creon, and then Chorus comes and expresses its concern as to where she will go with the children. Where will you go? You do not know anybody around here. You are a stranger in this land. In Greece, you are completely a stranger. You don't know any other king. You don't know any other kingdom. You have no relatives. You have no friends. So where are you going to go with these children? And Chorus expresses this concern, and Medea responds that she will turn 3 of my enemies into corpses. That is her firm decision. She says, if I am driven by resourcefulness, misfortune, I will myself take the sword, even if I must die, and kill them. I will go to such an extreme of daring. So she says, even if it takes me to take the sword myself and attack my enemies, that is my husband, his wife, and his wife's father, Creon. So even if the situation demands me to take the sword myself and attack those people, I will do that, and I will do such an extreme, and I will kill them. So even if she says that she will take the sword and attack them, finally she reveals her plan to poison the 3. She says, the best gift and the best weapon that I have is poison, and I will use them on the 3, and they will turn to corpses. and this is episode number 1. What happens in episode number 2? Episode number 2, Jason makes his appearance for the first time, and he meets Medea, and Jason interestingly blames her for her mad anger and her unkind words, her rude words against the royal family. So Jason basically says that you are going to be expelled, you are going to be banished, you are going to be thrown out of this country only because of your anger, only because of your mad words and swearing, curses on the royal family. The royal family is very much angry with you because you showered your unkind words on them. So Jason basically says that your tragedy, that is your banishment, is something that you yourself have invited. Then Medea responds in the same manner, with the same in equal intensity. Her deepest anger come alive in words. She is saying so many things. Particularly she is asking him where she could go. Where can I go? I don't know anybody. Whether to can I go to my father? No, I cannot go to my father because I left him long back. I left him for you. And can I go to the daughters of Peleus? No, I cannot go to them because I killed their father because of you. So I did these horrible things for you, because of you and for you, and now you have abandoned me. And then Jason makes a very interesting and surprising argument, saying that it was Medea who benefited more by leaving her brute country and reaching Greece. So Jason says that you were living in a mad world, you were living in a very uncultured, uneducated, illiterate and very brute savage country. You were part of a savage tribe, and I actually saved you from there. Now that you are in Greece, everybody knows you well, you got fame and you got position, you got power, everything. So you got all these things only because you left with me, only because you left your country. And also he justifies his new wedding. He is going to get a new wife. And why? He says that this was a clever plan. This was a very shrewd, this was a very clever plan employed by Jason in order to have a better life for Medea and their children. So we know that Jason wants to have a new wife. He is kind of unhappy with Medea. He does not want to continue living with Medea for a long time. He wants to have a new wife, a new young wife. Now, but he justifies it by saying that this was a clever plan. This was a clever plan executed by him, so that Medea will have a better life, a safe life in Corinth, in Creon's country, and also their children will have a better life and a safe life, a secured life. This is the reason that Jason gives in episode number 2. Now we'll move on to episode number 3. In episode number 3, another character arrives. Aegeus, king of Athens, arrives. Now Aegeus, he meets with Medea. What about Aegeus? He is a childless king. He wants to have a child desperately because his kingdom is going to be abandoned without a heir. And he is childless, and he is going to meet and he had this oracle. He had this word of God. And what is the word of God? Not to lose the projecting foot of my wine sack. These are the words, and he does not understand the meaning of this word of God, and he is going to meet a very knowledgeable man in order to know the meaning of this oracle, in order to decode the meaning. Now on the way he meets Medea, and he learns all about Medea's tragedy, Medea's leaving of her father and brother, and Medea's tricking the daughters of Pelias in order to get him killed. And now that Jason has abandoned her and their two children, and now that Jason has just married another young princess, he Aegis learns all this, and he feels very much sympathetic for Medea. He feels compassionate towards Medea, and Aegis offers all help. Aegis offers all help only if reaches his country, that is Athens, only when she reaches Athens on her own. So Aegis says, I cannot take you from here because this is a different country, this is not my country. Now when you reach my country on your own risk, I will protect you. I will not let you I will not let you go, or I will not give you back to any other king. However, how much pressure there might be from outside. Now, when Aegis leaves, Medea reveals her plan. This is the key moment. Now, Medea reveals her plan to kill the princess with a poisoned dress and a tiara of gold. Tiara is an ornament made of gold that one wears on one's head. Now, Medea is planning to kill the princess with a poisoned dress and also a poisoned tiara of gold. And this gift, that is the dress and the tiara, they would be given to the princess by her two children. After that, she will kill the children too. This is the plan. Now we move on to episode number 4. In episode number 4, Medea meets with Jason once again, and Medea, kind of pretending to be agreeing with everything that Jason had already said, that she asks him to forgive her for everything she said about the royal family, about Jason, about the king of Corinth, Creon, and the princess. And she says that she was too mad, she was too crazy to think in clear terms, and she says everything that I said was false, and that was a mistake. It was a huge error from my part, and I ask your forgiveness. And Jason says, although you hate me, I have no hatred for you. I still have a plan to protect you as much as I can. Then Jason offers to help the children. Medea is asking Jason, she is kind of requesting Jason to keep the children in Corinth. So Creon has banished them, that is both Medea and children, from Corinth. Now Medea is requesting Jason to keep the children here. I will go. Please keep the children here. I do not want to let our children in the hands of strangers, in the hands of robbers and thieves on the way. I don't want them to starve. I don't want them to be living in poor conditions. So please let the children stay back in Corinth. I will go. I am ready to go. So Jason agrees with the plan, and he says that he is ready to request the king and the princess about this. He is not sure whether they will agree with this, but anyway he will request. This is episode number 4. In the next episode, which is episode number 5, Pedagogue reports to Medea that her children are pardoned from exile, and the princess has taken the gifts in her hands. So we learned, when the episode number 5 opens, we learned that Medea has already sent the children to meet the princess and gift her the poisoned dress and tiara of gold. So Pedagogue informs Medea that the children has already gone, the children has given the gifts, and the princess has received the gifts, and the children are pardoned from exile. They can stay back. Right then, a messenger also comes, and he reports that the princess and Creon are dead. Medea must flee at once by taking ship or chariot. Now, this is where the audience also comes to know that the poisoned dress and also the poisoned tiara of gold, they have caused these two people, that is Creon and the princess, to die, and they are dead now. So Medea must make her move so quickly, before Jason or before the soldiers arrive, in order to get them. Now Medea makes the messenger explain these deaths, explain the death of Creon, explain the death of his daughter. Now the messenger explains the details of their deaths, that is how she wore this dress, and she placed a mirror in front of her, and she could see her own lifeless image on the mirror within the blink of an eye. She was turned to a corpse, and it was a horrible thing to watch. Her flesh was breaking apart, her flesh was getting torn apart, and the whole body was burning alive. And seeing all this, Jason stood horrified, and Creon came in for rescue, and Creon grabbed his daughter and he grabbed her in order to save her. And in that mad frenzy, what happened was that the princess, took hold of Creon, and she did not leave him. She held him so tightly that he could not escape, and they are both dead. And listening to all this, Medea feels so delighted. She feels wonderful about it, and she feels very happy about it. And at the same time, she feels so heartbroken to realize that she is going to kill her two children. Medea listens to all this and she feels relieved, but she then kills her two children because we do not see that the children are dead. We do not see in the play that the children are dead in the hands of their mother. But then we listen to the children. The child number one say that, "Ah me, what will I do? Where will I run from my mother's hand?" And child number 2 says, "I do not know, dear brother, we are lost." And child number 1 again says, "Yes, by the gods, help us, we need you." And child number 2 says, "How close we are to being trapped beneath the sword." So we get the knowledge that Medea is killing them. Medea is killing them from the inside. We don't see that. And the chorus is grieving, mourning the death of these two children. And Jason arrives to take the children in order to save them from the royal family. Jason arrives very quickly. He arrives mad with anger. He is asking, I'm quoting, "You there, women standing here at the door, is she still in the house, Medea, who has perpetrated these heinous crimes, or has she taken flight?" So Jason thinks that after killing Princess and Creon, Medea has already escaped. Now Jason he actually wants to save his two children, because he fears that if Medea escapes with the two children, they will be captured at some point of time. Now or sooner or later they will be captured, and the children will be harmed. They can be killed. So Jason wants to save the children. Jason wants to keep the children with him, thinking that the children are alive, but the children are already dead. He learns that his children are killed by his own mother. The chorus informs Jason, I quote, "Your children are dead, killed by their mother's hand." Jason says, "Oh no, what are you saying? Women, you have doomed me." And Medea appears again. Finally, this is the final appearance, and Medea appears in a chariot that is drawn by a dragon. that is pulled by a dragon. She appears in a chariot. On the rooftop, she appears above with the two bodies of her children in her arms. And it's a horrible sight. It's a very spectacular sight, as one can see. A woman appearing in a chariot. She is, sitting like a queen in a chariot with so much of power, as if with so much of power. And this chariot is drawn by a dragon, not by a human being, not by a horse, not by any other animal, but by a dragon. And what is she carrying in her hands? She is carrying the two dead bodies of her children in her hands. And kind of, a woman completely, she has taken revenge, and she has, she is the embodiment of revenge and bloodbath, as one can see. So it's a very visual thing that one sees at this particular scene. And Jason calls her so many things. Jason curses her. You abomination, you vilest, most hateful woman, to the gods and to me and to the whole human race. So Jason is cursing Medea in many terms. And at the end of all this cursing, he pleads her to allow him to bury them. Give me their dead bodies, let me bury them, I am their father. But she denies all this. She denies that, you go and bury the princess and the king, I will bury my children. This is what she says. And this is how the play comes to an end. At the end of the play, we can see a Jason. He is mad with anger, he is mad with rage. At the same time, he is completely pained by with the loss of his children, with the loss of his newlywed wife, his loss of this king of Corinth, Creon, all that. Now, Jason curses Medea for all this, and I wish, and he says, I wish I had never fathered them, to see them destroyed by you. Saying this, Jason exits, and Medea makes with this final appearance of Medea on the rooftop, in a chariot drawn by a dragon, carrying the dead bodies of her two children, maybe this bloody dead bodies of her two children, this horrific, bizarre kind of a visual spectacle. The play comes to an end. Now, this play, as one can see, is a revenge tragedy. The revenge tragedy, the revenge carried out by a woman character. This can be seen as a play between, especially in this particular course, that is women's writing. In our course, we see this as a play between, a play of conflict between men and women, male and female, in which the woman emerges as the winner. In this play, we can see the character of Medea. She is gifted and she is given the power of articulation. She speaks for herself. She is gifted with the power of language, and she has the agency to make the change, to bring about the change that she wants to make. She wants to kill. She wants to take revenge upon the three. She wants to kill the princess, she wants to kill the king, and she also plans to kill her own children, and she does all that. Now, we can see that this woman, Medea, is a woman of agency. And also, we can read it in a way that Medea's revenge is a form of protest from the part of a woman against patriarchal norms and conventions, and also patriarchal institutions such as marriage. And what do? They rob women of their rights and dignity. So when Jason abandons Medea after all those unfortunate episodes of killing her own brother, getting Peleus killed by his own daughters, going in exile to another country, after all those this hardships, after going through all those hardships and taking all those pains, Jason is abandoning Medea for the for a younger woman, for a princess of Corinth, the daughter of Creon. So this betrayal is robbing Medea of her rights as a wife and of her dignity as a woman. And Medea is a woman who is realizing all this. She has clarity about her losses, and she rightfully decides to make to take revenge upon her own husband and his wife and wife's father. Now it is debatable. The killing of her own children is, whether it is right or wrong, is debatable. But then Medea's decision to take revenge upon, as a woman, her decision to take revenge upon her husband is the rightful thing to do. That is undeniable. There is no argument about it. That was the right thing to do. So I hope the background and the characters, the plot, all these things are very much clear to you by now. And in the next class, we'll try to discuss the various forms, the various themes of the novel, the question of woman, the position of woman, the agency of woman, and woman's position and patriarchy, all those things in this particular play. Thank you very much.